And to start this lesson off, I would like to create this little round section that I see on the remote just to get some volume out of what I have currently. So I'm going to use that cool little trick we learned earlier by using multiple curves to generate a rounded corner. So I'm going to go and just grab my curve, make sure it's the curve, and just do that. As you can see, curve. I'm going to scale this bad boy down so that I can get to its innermost point. Then I'm going to control D, W, move it. I'm going to go move it out backwards. I'm going to take it about, say, here to its most extreme point, like so. And then control D, then control D to just then move it somewhere in between and then scale it down. As you can see, we should get a nice rounded surface, but we can tweak it after the fact. Then from this guy to that guy, I can go linear. So let's go play with this, shall we? So I'm gonna go and select this curve, like that curve, make sure it's the curve and not the surface. And that curve, then that curve. And we're gonna go to surfaces, left. Okay, now we get that nice rounded bevel that goes all the way around. Potentially a bit more on the sides I would need. Let's go see what the top looks like, shall we? We are getting the nice round look that we want. For the side, sorry, not the top. And from the top, we need to make this center curve and should just scale it out alongside its brethren. Scale it out so that those sides are also nice and rounded. Now I'm going to go grab this curve and delete this guy because now that I've scaled them out, this curve doesn't match the previous one. So I'm going to select this curve again. Yeah. You select the surface, control D, move it into space like so. Then I would like to start pulling it in the side view to match up to what we have. Actually get a closer before playing with the little CV guys, like so. Control vertex, that, push that, and then we saw on the top view it does not go straight, but it's more of a rounded thing. So let's go and select curves from multiple angles so that we can get this guy done. Select these guys. So now from multiple views I'm gonna be playing the selection game of getting those guys. There I have that one. Doesn't seem like I would need those. So as you can see, this is one of those scenarios again where the viewports or the image planes do not really line up. I'm gonna go grab all of those, and move them up like so. And then at the bottom here, bottom section of this curve, I'll see that guy where it's supposed to be. Grab this guy, a little bit back because it's a little more rounded than I'm suggesting it is. Something like that. And the bottom of the curve down all the way here. These guys need to match up with their buddies so it's nice and straight. So I'm going to move it in the Z, hold down C for curve snapping and middle click on that curve to snap them in there. Now we've got the curve that we want. I'm going to go select that curve again, select that curve again, and then go to surfaces, loft. And there you can see we are building a lot more complex shape using a bunch of different curves. Now we can continue with this all the way to the back by grabbing this curve and control D so I know I keep using the same curve, flatten it out potentially so it doesn't freak out like that. Yeah. Okay, and then we can just go delete its history, freeze transformations. So I've got a clean version of that curve that I can now, where did I put it? There. I can then now take that guy and move it, yeah, before where I see the curvature starting. And I can do the same thing that I did before. This guy somewhere in here, control D, put this guy in the most extreme. I'm gonna go and scale it. Here's my scale tool. Scale it in, but in all four sides because as you can see, it's actually a flat panel back here. Maybe I'm not going to do that one. I am going to go, no, wrong options. I'm going to go and take it to about there. Well, right before that edge. So I can show you guys a cool little trick later on. I can go do that, right click, force, and go play with the curve so that I can now get that center curve going down like here. Then the last one we would shape up to match the outside. But I'm going to leave this curve out in the bundoos so we have our backup. I'm going to grab that curve that's edge. I'm going to surfaces, loft. Right, now we've got a bunch of cool surfaces we can play with. Now we need to look at the actual controllers so that we can understand how the buttons are laid out and what these buttons actually look like. Now, as you should be doing for any project you take on, you should also have a stack of reference images. So in here, in the project source images lesson 5, section 5, lesson 5, you can see I've got a couple of reference images of the Wii remote. I was lucky enough to find a back view, which is great, and then a 3/4 view. I'm going to open this guy up. Now I can see what these buttons do. So this guy is the A button, that's the directional button, then we got a power button. But it seems like the controller we have, the power button looks like to be more square. Then we got button 1 and 2. Our drawing does not have the little speaker holes, but it does have the battery percentage here. So if I go look at this other reference I have, as you can see, these guys tend to look the same, all of them, which is fine. I could always change the top one here to be a circular shape. So like I said, not all reference images are created equally. I'm gonna go and put that to the side, and changing up this little curve is easy enough. I can just go grab a circle guy, control D it, and move it up here. And then based on my reference, I can relatively see how large it needs to be. It seems like its center lines up with the directional outermost edges center. So let's go into our front view. Yeah, I'm gonna go move it there. Hold down C, middle mouse click, so its center snaps. Then I'm gonna scale it down, move it up. I'm going to put it about here. That seems about right. Again, double check your reference. And with this reference, I can actually see something pretty cool. That button there is inset. You can see there's a little edge in there, and then it's the button. The same with the little home button, but not with the volume buttons as well as the controller button, and the 1 and 2. And that gives us a little bit more insight of what's happening here, which is great. If we go double check on this one, we can also see that the directional pad also has a curvature with it. There is a slight seam line there, but not too hectic. Again, the home button, as you can see, has that inward slant. I'm going to close these guys off, leave the button there. So I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to control D, and then I'm going to go create that inner slant that I saw with the button, like so. Okay, then with the home button, I can only assume this is what they try to depict with that inner slant. I can see on the my reference images, it's not that like wide. I'm gonna just pull that guy out a tad, and then these guys are all good down here. That is the Nintendo logo. Ooh, that's the button A. It's nice. Okay, now let's go see and start cutting out shapes, shall we? I want to be in this view. I'm gonna take this guy just a little bit back and pull that back for now. Then I'm gonna go grab this surface and let's go trim tool. So what I want to do is so after moving that inner one a bit back just for safekeeping, I would like to cut this hole into that surface. So I'm going to actually pull it off of the surface like so, okay? Because what I want to do is project this curve onto that surface. And with projection, it's based on your camera angle. So I want to do it straight on. So from a straight on view, and then I'm going to select that surface. I'm going to go to surfaces or curves. So then I'm going to go up here into surfaces, and you'll see here project curve onto surface. That's pretty low res. So I'm just press 3 to smooth it out, because even NURBS surfaces are finicky like that. Now that curve is on that surface. So if I select a surface, you see it highlight. I'm going to go to surfaces and use the trim tool, and then I click on what I want to keep. So this big guy I want to keep, and then press enter, and it throws away, well, it doesn't really throw away, it theoretically hides that surface in there for us, which is very cool, because there's also now the history that we can have, and we can scale it up as we need it. Now in here I would take this guy and pull a bit forward so that I can get that bevel depth that I can see. So from here to here, I can select the curve on the surface that has been projected. I'm going to go right click, trim edge, select that inner edge, select that curve, and we should be able to do a loft, which is great. That surface is backwards, so I'm going to go to surfaces, reverse surface direction. As you can see, we got a nice, sharp, clean bevel into that surface. I'm going to go do the same with a bunch of these guys. I'm going to take this curve, Control D just to have a copy of it, and then grab this guy, pull it off a little bit, because it doesn't really matter the distance, because I want to cut these holes out. I can actually grab all of these curves that I would like to duplicate. So I'm just going to go into my front view, press A so I can view all. I'm going to go and marquee select all of them, that guy as well, and that guy, and then control select that surface because I do not need them. Well, I don't need a part of this selection. So I'm going to go pull it a bit back, and then control D to have copies of them. I'm going to create a new layer with these guys on there, so I'm going to go just click the new layer button with the little ball, and I'm just going to go call this my curves underscore L for layer, and click save. I can just hide those curves and I can bring them back whenever I need to. Now I'm going to do the same with all of these other curves. Again, this guy can actually go a little bit in the back because that is for that inset bevel there, because we don't need to see it. Cool. Let's go do this from my front view. Let's see if I can do it with all of them in one go, because that's always a fun thing. Then select all those things. And then select the surface, go to surfaces, project curve onto surface. It seems like it did all of them, but we need to go and check. Yes, it did, which is cool. I can actually now, if I delete that, that goes away. That goes away. So let's go play with this one first, shall we? Okay, now I can go use the trim tool, select the surface, go to surfaces, and I'm going to go click on trim, and I'm going to click on what I want to keep. What I want to keep is this big area. Press enter, and as you can see, everything was cut out perfectly. Now I can go do the inner bevel here, do something like that. Select my surface, go to right click, trim edge, because I can actually select that edge, then that curve, and then I can go surfaces loft, select that surface, and then go to reverse surface direction, and we've got a nice clean bevel in there, which is great. So cool to see. Awesome. You could also come in here and actually go to trim edge, grab this edge. Is going to be a bunch of different edges. I'd rather not use them, but the curves that we save off. So I'm going to go open up those guys. I would like to use my directional, so I'm going to go Control D to duplicate it, and then right click on the layer to remove selected object. So when I turn it off, this one stays visible. So I want this guy to go in here, and if I go back to my reference, I can see it looks flat from the front. There is a bit of bevel on the corner, well, on the round corners here. I'm not going to be too concerned about the, well, I can actually build that into it now. I'm going to go back, grab this guy, focus. Now there's a deformer we can use that could help us along much quicker than doing this manually, in the sense of grabbing these guys and doing the curvature manually. Okay, and it's referred to as the bend deformer. So I'm going to go deform, non-linear, bend. As you can see, it creates a straight line, but if I go play with its curvature, you can see it's currently bending it that way. But if I go and just rotate this guy forward, I'm just snapping it by holding down J. Now I got that curvature. Maybe not that much of a curve. Let's go see our reference image. That matches up quite nicely. But as you can see, the outer sections of the D-pad also curve in. So I'm going to go again, form, non-linear, bend. This one I'm going to rotate 90 degrees this way so it's straight. Let's go play with the curvature. Let's do the same curvature as we have here. Bend, I'm just going to round this off to a nice 10 so it's easy to copy or remember. Then bend 2, bend a 10. Again, we just need to rotate this bad boy up, holding down J, snapping in increments until we get to, I want you to not believe. Whoa, I'm changing too many things at the same time. Go grab hue, hold down J. There we got 90 degrees. Now we got that surface, all that edge nicely bent to our will. Now if we want to keep the bends but remove the deformers, we just select the curve and delete its history. It removes those deformers, but the curve keeps its shape, which is great. Now I'm gonna go select this guy. Again, there is... Okay, now let's get this button done, shall we? So I'm going to pull this guy a little bit forward because, like you remember with this front face, the first one's going to be the smallest one, then Control D. Then we have the second one that defines the curvature. Get that guy pretty close, and then we have Control D for the last one, which is going to be our straight one, preferably not go backwards like that, but our straight doohickey like so, and then we can make one again just so it's inside of the controller. Now let's see if our concoction works. So the first one, I'm going to go surfaces planar. Doesn't seem to like that because of the non-straight curvature. Maybe if we make this straight and then do the bend after the fact. Okay, now let's see if this concoction works. So now from the front view, I can see that the tops and bottoms of this first one doesn't line up quite nicely. There's a very big gap. I'm gonna go right click, control vertex, grab that bunch, and scale them out so it's uniform, just so that they like not, because that's going to create a problem, and scale them out a bit. Oh, not that far. Try and get them as far as the top ones here. Now if I go look here, you see we have less of an issue. So let's go and try our loft, shall we? The very big suspicion it's going to overshoot you a lot more than I intend. And just like that, my predictions came true. As you can see, it's overshooting way too much on the top here. I can either try and pull this rear curve back, which creates more of that problem, or I can straighten this guy out a little, or outwards more, and then let's see, wait, let's do that. So I want to use these guys to get the curvature, maybe that guy and that guy. So let's take another one of these, control D, move it back, scale it up a bit, middle, fine now. Surfaces loft. That looks like a better looking result. Now this back one we can start playing with. Try and see if we can get it straight so that it lands up being a straight button there. Let's see how this affects it in perspective when I play with it. I can always go and reverse this surface. Surfaces reverse. Okay. I can always go and play with this curve on the inside here. Go to curve points. Here with these guys. Bring them. Seems to cause more problems than something good. If I straighten them out a bit more, good. Pull them out a bit more. In the roundness that I'm looking for. These guys, I need all of you. These guys up, push a bit in. As you can see, it's affecting this guy on the top here, which is something we can sort out on a later stage. We go back to our side view. We are getting our curve looking a lot better, or our level there. Forward again. Last but not least, this curve, that curve. Select this, that, and go surfaces and loft. For some reason it's scaling down. Let's go scale it out, guys and girls. I want you to be bigger, and then I'm probably gonna have to scale them all down. And that seems straight, but it's intersecting with my little hole too much. I'm just gonna go and where's my center pivot? Fill that in more so that I get that difference. This guy, I would need to go surfaces, reverse direction. I'm going to delete these surfaces. Do that again because the curves were kind of going beyond the surface. Again, down. For interest's sake, I want to see what happens if I have this guy included in the loft. For some arbitrary reason, it collapses in on itself. Okay, let's go back to our way of the future. Surfaces loft, outer curve, and that inner curve. And we can go surface loft, get that straight line that we're looking for. Then of course, last but not least, grab the surfaces and reverse their direction. Okay, I can see also the surface is intersecting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select all the curves, control deselect the surfaces, and then scale these curves in so that I get that button, the distance on the button correct. Then I can also go and grab this surface, right click from edge, grab that edge, grab all the edges is going to work. And then I'm going to go and surfaces, duplicate surface curve, duplicate NURBS patch, no, duplicate surface curve. Now we got another curve in here ready to play with. I'll pull that guy straight back, but you'll also notice it's potentially in multiple curves. So again, I'm just going to go undo so that I get all of them selected. Control 1 so I can isolate this guy so that I can get these curves all connected up again. I'm going to go to attach options, make sure keep originals is all, click attach, and this guy and this guy, surfaces, attach, then that guy and that guy, curves, attach. No, what did you do now? You and you. Oh, wait, let me, I think this curve is going in a different direction, so I'm going to go reverse surface curve, that guy, curves, attach. Nice, now we've got one singular curve, Alt Shift D, and then we also just need to close. Close. Open, close this curve. So now it's been open, closed. Right. Control 1 to bring everything else back into view, right on top of each other. I'm gonna go grab this guy. Hold on C for curve snapping. Nap it there. Control D. Move it. But I can actually use the curves rather than the trim tools curves. So I'm just want to go in here. Not select that. It's always a pain when I try and select these things. Let's go and do a more key select over everything. And then Control deselect that surface, that curve. And we can go surfaces. There we go. Let's just reverse the surface direction. Now we got the inside, all nice and insidey. I really like how these guys turned out. They were very cool. Now, I know the guy on the top here is basically a sphere squished down. The same with this guy. So let's go use some of our primitives that we do have access to. So I'm going to go and grab our little press W, hold on C for curve snapping and just snap it here. Press F to focus. Let's just get it into the center with our front view. Press F to focus. Again, I'm going to use grid snapping. Hold on X like so. Let's go and scale this down. We should be able to get this guy relatively easy in the center of the hole. And turn off my image planes so that I can only see my surfaces. Okay, I'm going to rotate this guy towards me at 90 degrees like so. We can also go and delete half of it because you won't need more than that. I would like this isopalm. Surfaces, detach. Now I can go and delete the rear section. I've got the front section. I can just scale it a bit down like that button is that we saw in our reference. Right. This button is a lot more flat. I'm going to scroll in. See, this one stands out. Oh, it's also pretty flat. And this one is a flat surface basically. Same with all the other buttons. Doesn't seem like they're bulging out. Just look, let's go correct the A button because I've made it too goofy. I'm gonna go to vertex, grab the front of these verts, all these CVs. Let's just scale it flat, scale them out so that I can get a rounded corner thing going. Let's see if I can go and double click. Nope, these guys, pull them a bit forward to get a sharper corner. There we go. There we go. Now we got a sharp little button in here, which works great. You can actually select this guy and duplicate it everywhere. Okay, so let's scale it down a little bit more so it fits in that hole quite nicely. Again, I can go Control D and let's go and move what we have because why reinvent wheel when we can just repurpose existing geometry? Again, I'm going to go and scale this guy down. Let's go and fit it into its new home, something like that. Maybe a little bit more distance off there. We're going to add in little bevel sections. So, and then I'm going to go D, X, and grid. So there, press D again. Now I'm going to freeze transformations. Now I can go -1, so it drops it in another hole. Great. Grab this guy, Control D. Let's go and center it pivot. So we can go pull that. Potentially we can grid snap it to the center here. It needs to be a tad bigger than the rest. And then Control D. This guy in here. Focus. Let's grid. Oh, cool. Let's go and grid snap it to the center. Move it a bit up. Scale it up. Then Control D. Move it. Go and grid snap it from in the X. It seems to be pretty much on the grid. Those buttons are done. Now I need this button. I could potentially use this. Let's go and see. Control D, move it up here. Press F to focus. Scale it very small, smaller than the rest. The center here. Scale that up a little bit more. Now if I go to my perspective here, it's inside of that divot hole. The way it's built. Can't. So I need to go into all vertex. I can't through this object. Let's go turn on X-ray mode. X-ray mode enabled. Too many mouse clicks at the same time. A little bit forward more. I get an even crisper curvature here. Will inset in there, which is great. On X-ray mode there. Actually get this guy even a bit bigger, which is cool. There's another button that was relatively in. If I'm not mistaken, it was one of these home buttons that was also in, well, I think it's the incent one. Yeah, the home, like I said, the home button. Boom, that button, focus on it, push you in so that you're below that nice friendly edge. Go right click, control vertex, X-ray mode, up those guys, and let's move it a bit forward to get a nicer, sharper curve. Undo X-ray mode, go to object mode. Yeah, now we got all our buttons. It's just this center section that we need to figure out, but we shall leave that for the next part in this little mini series of creating a bit more complex surfaces. So I shall catch you in the next lesson.